Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the PML Wrestling Show. It's the PML Crew, as always. Rich Lopez, homeboy Malloy, celebrating his favorite holiday this past week.
Yeah.
Robert Price, top shelf, always with us. Malloy, my man, how goes it?
Dude, it goes good. I'm just reading this beer can here. It says, consumption of alcohol beverages impairs your ability to drive a car. Huh. Interesting.
Hey, you gotta have always gotta have that disclaimer on there. That's where the lawsuits come into handy. You know what I'm saying?
They said I could drive.
Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't learn that in DARE in 5th grade.
Yeah. Speaking of DARE, I won a 5th grade essay and got to see motocross at the arena. Little fun fact for Hefe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What'd you write about? Did you draw Mr. Garrison from
Drugs
South Park?
are bad. Alcohol is bad. School is good. Let me go see motocross.
You just drew a picture of Mr. Garrison from South Park. He's like, drugs are bad, okay?
They get them coy.
I'm going to pass around some marijuana, okay?
Yeah, something like that.
Who took the pot?
Yeah. So, all that good stuff that you say as an 11-year-old. My voice is messed up, dude. So I
Coach
apologize.
Hefe. Instead of Coach K, we have Coach Hefe.
March Madness. Nope, Coach K's still alive, so that's always good. But I'm nowhere near Coach K. So Coach Hefe, if anybody gets called that, it's probably gonna be a bad thing. So no, yeah. Actually, I have another. So I had practice on Monday. Obviously, we're recording on Wednesday right after practice, so that's why my voice is terrible. Then I have another tournament in King of Prussia this weekend. So busy week, man.
There you go. There you go.
What are you up to this weekend? How was last weekend?
Last weekend, I just kind of chilled. I played a wedding. Down over there in Pittston.
Oh, nice.
For a nice couple, got married. They had an awesome house, by the way. So their house was literally like an actual bar. Their basement is an actual, like, it was legitimate bar.
I remember you told me you were gonna play in a bar or a base. Sorry, not a bar, at a basement. And I was like, what?
Yeah. So like their house is like literally like just like 2 floors. It's just, like giant, like it's pretty big. But the basement was literally like a straight, like I was like, I'm in a bar. Dang. And they're like see like the rest of the house, you're just like, I could live here if I didn't have kids.
Dang, that's cool.
And they had 2 older kids, so I was talking to the guy, like he's a big sports fan, like and a big music guy too, like pretty much like everything we like. He's just like, yeah, dude, like look at all this stuff, and he's like, what do you want to drink? Like he's hanging out, like I was hanging out with the groom like the whole time, like just talking to him.
Dang.
And I was just like, this place is badass. He's like, I'm like, did you do all this yourself? He's like, nah, dog. He's like, when I bought the place, he goes, I saw the upstairs. I'm like, all right, it's okay. We have 2 kids, like they're older, like in their 20s. He's like, we got 2 kids. They can live here, hang out, have a good time. And we go back to the basement. He's like, sold, whatever it is, I'm paying for it.
Dang.
I'm like, yeah,
that's what I would have done.
Yeah, dude, it was sick.
That's cool. Can you imagine having that basement just watching WrestleMania?
Oh my God, the full bar, like he had like
One can
multiple
dream.
TVs.
One can dream.
I'm like, do you guys have an extra bedroom? He's like,
I can stay.
He's like, dude, you can crash here. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. Thank you for the hospitality, but
that was a cool
kidding.
gig. It was one of the cooler things that I've done playing music.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Yes, we're talking about WrestleMania on the big screen TV. Obviously, we're going to talk about maybe just kind of the hype train of WrestleMania 38 this week. Nothing too much to cover outside of maybe the tag team match being announced, and then the women's tag team match has become a 4-way. Has there ever been a 2-on-2 tag match for the women's tag team championships?
I don't think so. I don't think the women's tag championships were even really highlighted on many WrestleManias that I recall.
It's crazy.
I mean, think Sasha and Bayley, when they were tag team champions, they were on the show, I think, together, right?
They were the Iconics one.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think if it was ever 2-on-2, it definitely wasn't highlighted. But, I mean, I guess it's a way instead of the Battle Royal to get, because obviously you can't use the Fabulous Moolah name anymore. I guess that's kind of like a way to get multiple women on the card, but...
And it's cool to spotlight that championship because it's like, it was hyped at first and now it's like not hyped. So
yeah, no, I get it. And then we're gonna spend the bulk of this episode continue our WrestleMania resume. Dude, my voice is shot, so if I just like, you guys step in.
I'll just take over. I'll just talk
so we did Triple H, we've done Taker, we've done Hart, Michaels, Flair, Savage, kind of like all the heavy hitters outside of like Cena. And like Orton probably have the most too, but we're actually not going to do a superstar specifically this episode. We're actually going to do main events in general. So obviously there's 37 that we're going to cover, and again that's why it's pretty much going to be the bulk of the episode. Also, we've had busy lives his favorite holiday, busiest holiday for sure, with him playing on the bagpipe band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then me with travel basketball. It's just hard. So we're gonna cover the stuff that we know and love, and that's old wrestling stuff. Obviously, 37 and 36 are kind of newer, but we'll talk about that. But before we get into it, definitely reach out to us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at PML Show. Then you guys can listen to our new episodes every Friday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts on the audio platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, all that kind of stuff. So if you're cruising to maybe, a travel basketball tournament this weekend and you want to listen to my hoarse-ass voice and that beautiful man's voice, homeboy that is, definitely, go to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts at. But let's go with the hype train for WrestleMania 38, that is. Obviously, we're going to discuss, I guess we'll preview that more in depth next week, obviously, because that's the last week before Mania, and I'm sure there's going to be another match or two that's going to be announced. But ain't going to lie, man, I looked at night one, doesn't look too bad. Night 2 looks even better. I'm thinking WrestleMania 38 is looking pretty good. What say you?
Honestly, dude, I think it's a super solid card. I think Austin's actually going to wrestle because it said it's supposed to close out the show.
It is. I just think it's going to be a brawl, though.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, I would love to see a match, but I think it's going to be an ending to, if you remember the Boneyard match, like obviously Taker won that, but it's just him like driving off into the night. I think it's going to be something like that, like with Austin, like just sending the crowd home happy. It won't be a match.
Yeah, I'm hoping it is a match.
No, yeah,
and
I get
it. It seems like he's ready to compete and stuff. So, from what the dirt sheets are saying.
Yeah, he did an interview with Rich Eisen, and he kind of said he kind of went out against his will. Yeah, he kind of He kind of alluded to actually wanting to fight, and I think he said if he found out earlier, it actually would have been a match. But this is kind of like their caveat to see if he actually wants to do it. So this might lead to another couple matches with Austin. We don't know.
Would you be happy to see Austin do multiple more matches?
So obviously, I like him way more than like Goldberg.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's like, what can you do with like Austin? Because Austin's even more majestic than Goldberg, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, who's gonna beat Austin?
Nobody, unless he does like what Hogan did when Hogan came back.
Do you really see him doing that though?
If the booking was right, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the only person I could see him losing to, there'd be two actually. It'd be Reigns and Lesnar.
Yeah,
Lesnar for sure.
Seth, I can see him losing to Seth.
You think so?
I can see him losing to Bobby Lashley. Seems like he really likes him based upon their interviews.
True.
And I feel like Austin has a good mind for it. Maybe this will even get Austin like in a producer role or something, like they want him full time.
Yeah.
I think it's just a way to get Austin back in the picture, back in the fold, because obviously he is so good.
Yeah.
But also night 1, 2, I think Edge and AJ's on the card. Is that 2?
So night 1, it looks like it's a lot of like potential. Like so, you have I think Mysterio's and Miz.
Yeah, they'll probably open the show.
I think that's on night 1. The 2 women's title matches are on night 1. There's another one. I can't think of it. I don't know why. I think it's maybe not. But I think what they're the KO thing, obviously.
There's
one thing.
5 or 6 announced so far.
I think there's 5.
There's 5 and 5.
But I think the Cody Rollins is going to be night 1, and I think that's going to open the show. For me, only reason why is because Rollins is so hell-bent on getting like a WrestleMania thing. It's like, why would you stall? Like, why would you wait later in the show? Once you like want to start the show off, like, yo, I came here I want my WrestleMania moment. Something like
I'll
that,
challenge anyone in the back. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I thought I saved
because
it,
if Cody
maybe
doesn't
not,
come
though.
out, that's a good time for Taker to come out.
Don't get me started, probably.
It could literally be the same thing as Cena versus Taker, except for it's, actually calling him out. He's not in the ring. He's not in the crowd drinking beers, hanging out. You know what I mean?
That'd be amazing. Like I said, we'll talk about it more in depth, like with what we actually know as night 1 and night 2. But I'm pretty sure AJ and Edge is night 2.
Yes.
Reigns Lesnar is obviously night 2. I feel like there was another big match. Like I think McAfee Austin Theory's night 2. So I mean, yeah, like I said, we'll talk about it. But right now, what's the hype meter from Loy? I know you said you like it a lot.
Honestly, right now I'm like 10 out of 10. I'm super hyped for WrestleMania. Now I'll probably be extremely disappointed. That seems to happen every year, where it's like you just get so hyped up as WrestleMania season, like all this crazy shit can happen and none of it happens, and you're just like, well, that was okay.
Yeah.
I wasted 8 hours of my life that I'll never get back. But that's what it is in wrestling. It could be really good, it could be really bad, it could be somewhere in the middle. So
Gotcha.
That's kind of like my thoughts on Mania. I think it's gonna be 10 out of 10. I think it's gonna be a knockout show. Could you see, just thinking back to this Austin thing, because I think there's so much into it. Could you see Austin versus Rock one more time?
Oh my God, dude! I've always said you could do Rock versus Austin about 35 times.
They're both in really good shape.
People would never ever get sick of it. That is literally a match, and it would have been a perfect segue for the WrestleMania Main Events. That is one rivalry that I feel like people would never get sick of.
Yeah.
Like, you could just have that match on repeat. I'm trying to think of another one. Like, I don't know what other one you could do that people wouldn't get sick of.
Well, people got sick of Cena and Orton. People got sick of Triple H and Shawn Michaels. People got sick of Piper and Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, that's the only one because the promos would be so good back and forth. Like, even at this day and age, like, Austin
Maybe
always accomplished outside of wrestling. And
maybe a Savage Hogan, but I mean, like, even the Piper Hogan, I feel like people wouldn't get sick over, but back then, like, you really didn't do rematches.
yeah, but when you think about it, like, it was always Piper Hogan for literally 3 decades.
Oh, no, I know, but it was
80s, 90s, 2000s.
It was sporadically,
Yeah.
though. Like, it wasn't like every other year. Like, I feel like you could have done that with, like, a Hogan. A younger Andre, you probably could have did Hogan Andre. But obviously, given the time of, like, realism, you could have done Hogan Piper at 1 and probably 2. You could have done Savage at 5, 6, or 7. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could have done those. And I feel like people wouldn't have got sick about it. But we could talk about that. I mean, we could actually just go into the resume. But I did want to say the night one, but doesn't make sense booking-wise. The Usos are going up against Shinsuke and Rick Boogs. Why wouldn't that be on night 2 with Reigns?
Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say that was night 1 because I read this last night because I did put in what the main events will be for WrestleMania 38 on our resume. And I noticed that, but I'm like, no, maybe I heard that wrong. Because
Card is always subject to change, too. You can
Hey,
see anything
you're right.
happen on
that
like,
big-ass
literally-
asterisk.
Yep,
Card's subject
we're not
to
doing
change.
that now. Like, everyone's sustic, like, because it's like, I would assume it's not like if you're scheduled to wrestle Saturday night, you don't have to come Sunday.
Yeah.
You probably got to be there both nights.
Oh, 100%. Just in case, probably fill in. You know what I mean?
Fill
in case
in,
someone gets hurt or
backstage
something.
spots, something like
Yeah.
that.
Speaking of Edge and AJ, before we do go into the official resume, I told Jordan Flaherty, who's one of our beloved friends, big Edge fan, he changed his theme song and he was heartbroken.
I like the new theme song.
I don't mind it. I mean, he didn't hear it. I just told him that he changed because I said he's like full-blown bad guy now.
Yeah.
And that he changed his theme song to kind of go along with that new heel turn because he actually knows what a heel turn is.
And it's like,
he's
it's
like,
a new
what?
phase
He's
of
like,
his
no,
career.
on this day? And I'm like, nope, no more. Maybe he'll go back to it probably whenever he goes back to being a good guy. So.
Yeah, or it's just like, hey, it's a new leverage in his career.
Yeah.
It's like, do you wish like Shawn Michaels changed his music when he came back?
Yeah, like, what would you change it to?
It had to be like a country song or something like that.
I mean, realistically, he did change his song. It just that his second half of his career got cut short very, very quick. I mean,
Yeah.
he was changing it to DX. Like that was
Yeah.
his theme song. But yeah, I can't see Shawn Michaels switching his song.
Oh, I think
But it could happen, though.
The DX song.
Yeah.
And because he did do that, like pretty much like halfway through his second run, like there was periods of times where he just came out the DX music
Yeah.
for like no reason.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I'll just say, like, even Austin did when he went to the Alliance, like, they made it more like Atari
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But let's go into WrestleMania resume. Maybe next week we'll close out our show with another one. We have to think. I was thinking of one that would require so much research, bro. I don't know if we have the time to do it with our full-time jobs and outside hobbies, but what would be the best WrestleManias? This might even just be we could even just shorten it and do a self-high five. But think, just throwing stuff at the ceiling, see what sticks here. What if we do the best WrestleMania that had the best, like, collective 3 title matches? So it'd have to be, like, the main title, whatever you want, WWE World Heavyweight Championship, depending on the era of WrestleMania you pick. Best mid-card title. So obviously if you go old school, it'd be Intercontinental, or if the newer age, you could pick Intercontinental or United States, and then tag. And then obviously a women's, but if you go with the earlier WrestleManias, there's no women's championship. So, like, which WrestleManias would be the best? Like, the
I like
best
that.
overall title matches.
I like that because that'd be cool to see, like, if you kind of, like, even went to, like, make your own card, and it's just like, all right, you need to have a tag title match, mid-title match, world match,
Yeah.
And then a main feud and a women's title match.
We did do that. What was it last year? We actually did like our real life WrestleMania card like all time.
Yeah.
You couldn't have two people on the same like show. You had to just like pretty much pick your favorite match from that person and then kind of go with that. We obviously they were all non-title, so I mean it would be cool to do that if you want.
We could do it.
We'll talk off the air and discuss that. But let's go into the WrestleMania resume. Obviously, I just kind of alluded to it, and as part of my lack of dedication for the graphics lately, I apologize. I do know most of our listeners are on Spotify anyway, so thank you. So I don't know if I want to read off all these, dude. Like, what did we do here? Because there's 37 main events.
You're a wrestling fan. You got the Peacock. There's 37 Manias on Peacock you could watch.
All right, cool.
So
there's Wikipedia.
There's some website I found online today. Thank God it wasn't a virus on my work computer.
Yeah, dude. I was like, when you sent me this, I'm like, this doesn't look familiar. But anyway, it did work.
They had all wins and losses for like a bunch of wrestlers on that website too, which was cool.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. But anyway, we're just doing main events. We're not doing the title matches. Main events. So that obviously included some title matches and then some non-title matches, which would be like the first WrestleMania. Hogan and T versus Piper and Orndorff, or WrestleMania 11, possibly the worst main event of all time. LT versus Bam Bam. Then obviously we have our title matches, the Warrior Hogan at WrestleMania 6, Edge Taker at 24 for the World Heavyweight. So you're going to get a whole plethora of all these. And we're just here to discuss some of our favorites, some of the worst, some that, maybe weren't deserving of the main event, and who would you have put in the place of, what match would you have taken from that show and made the main event. We'll just start off like this. Best main event of all time for WrestleMania.
All right, I'm gonna say off the top of my head, just not much thought into it whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say WrestleMania 17, Austin Rock.
I agree with you on that, so let's just cancel that out. I feel like that if you ask 100 people in a pool, if there's 100 people in this room,
if you're on Family Feud,
that's number one.
Yeah,
like majority. Let's just say if there's 100 people in this room right now, and we said what's the best WrestleMania main event of all time, some people might not realize it. If we gave them options,
they're gonna say
everybody's
Rock
gonna say Rock. Yeah.
It doesn't matter which one because their 15 match was good, and then 19, it wasn't the main event, but it still was the best. Honestly, Angle versus Brock Lesnar was the best match on the card, in my opinion.
It was an argument for second actually, I forgot Jericho and Michaels are on that. I always talk about how.
And that's Jericho. That's Michaels' best WrestleMania match, I think, besides the Taker matches of his whole second half of his career.
I can see that. Yeah.
Besides this match against John Cena was really good too.
Actually, I don't know, man. That Angle match is my favorite.
Yeah, that is very true.
Well, we discussed Michaels' resume. It's obviously top notch.
Yes.
Did something just fall? Oh no, that was a cord. All right, so let's go non-Rock and non-Austin. Who we got?
I'm gonna say, but if you, I'm gonna say, best match. I'm gonna say it because not a lot of other people are gonna say it.
Dude, it's your resume, so you can go off match, you can go off hype, you can go off importance, whatever you want.
I'm gonna say Macho Man versus Flair for the belt.
That wasn't main event.
Oh yeah, because it was Sid and Hogan.
Yeah.
All right, so scratch that. I guess we'll go.
I guess that's gonna be one of your remakes.
Hogan Andre.
There you go.
Because everyone's gonna. I guess you're gonna say everyone's gonna say that too.
I think we'll go Rock Austin over Hogan Andre.
I think it depends on who you ask. If you ask people our age, they're gonna say that. But if you ask people who are
10 years older than us,
yeah, I was gonna say even our parents' age, they're gonna say Andre Hogan.
Makes sense. Okay, so then let me throw you a curveball then. Most underrated main event.
I'm gonna say Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit.
Oh my God,
that was a good triple threat match.
It really was. I'll give you that.
It's never gonna get any credit because.
Well, do you think it would get? All right, so let's just say obviously that tragedy never happens, or WWE's screw it. Unfortunately, his personal life was the shittiest of all time, but his professional life we have to kind of acknowledge.
And that's what every wrestler says anyways. So,
yeah. So it's do you think that gets forgotten about because of the events, or do you think it just gets forgotten about because it's a triple threat?
I would say because of the events, because it's the best triple threat match at a Mania up until Daniel Bryan.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, because that also too That's another one.
I think that's very underrated.
Yeah, because at the end of the night, you see a little indie guy, and if you're a guy who watched indie wrestling and everything else, or a person who is 5'9" and 160 pounds soaking wet,
Yeah.
like it's like that could be me too.
Yep.
Hard work, dedication, pushing yourself, going to the next level.
Yep.
So I'll say WrestleMania 20 for that pay-per-view, for that match, but I'll say a smooth second would be that Dana Bryan match, WrestleMania 30.
Yeah. I'm always torn. Most underrated. I think, I don't know, maybe it's under, I feel it would be a top 5 if you ask the majority of people, but I still think for some reason, because of like the history that came after it, it kind of gets forgotten about. So I guess this would be underrated for me, but / like best. I like Hogan Warrior. I think it's like a title for title. I just feel like you don't see that anymore.
I just feel
Two faces at the time, literally at the hottest of, like if you look at the peak of Hogan, it's 88, 89, 90. You look at Warrior, it's 89, 90. I feel like those are like the peaks of those two. Like I said, title for title, first WrestleMania, internationally, A, B, first one in the dome since the Silver Dome at WrestleMania 3. I don't know, I feel like it's just... Oh, the other thing, too, is, like, I think the build could have been a little bit better, but I'm just nitpicky. But I love the fact if you watch WrestleMania 6, like, every person goes in the, they go, like, on those mini rings. But, like, those two, they walk the aisle.
Yeah.
I think that kind of gives it a big importance, too, and, like, the face-off and all that kind of stuff. I think,
that was a hell of a run, too, Warrior had.
Oh, dude, it's insane. I don't know how he did it. There's only one man who ran faster and more, and that's Charles Robinson at 24.
I was going to say Robert Price, Jenks Lane, but that's besides the point.
I mean, yeah, no, so definitely Robert, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I'll go WrestleMania 6. Again, I don't know if that's underrated. That might be a top 5. So, I mean, if I was to give, like, a truly underrated one, I do think... I don't know, man. It's hard.
I would say another one would be Taker and Sid for the world title.
That's ironically what I looked at, kind of.
25 years ago today.
Yeah, but the Austin thing. I would say, I think the triple threat at 30. And again,
It's funny we both picked triple threats.
I was going to say, but it could be.
Picked Fatal 4-Way WrestleMania 2000.
Which leads us to our worst main event of all time. What do you think it is? I mean, I don't think that is actually it, but I'm sure that's in the bottom 5.
Yeah, I mean that's not 5. That's not number 1 to me, but number 1 to me, without a shadow of a doubt, is Bret Hart and Yokozuna.
Really?
Yeah.
So let's go to that. WrestleMania 9. Is the main event Bret versus Yoko, or is the main event Hogan versus Yoko?
I mean, I consider the whole thing as a whole
as a shit show.
As a shit show. I mean, I look at it this way. So, with Roman Reigns and Lesnar, I believe at WrestleMania 31, right?
Who says you're Mr. Year Off anymore, dude? Not me.
WrestleMania 31. And it's like, so Seth Rollins cashes in. What's the real main event? Is it a triple threat match? Or is it...
Look at my notes right there, dude. Lesnar versus Reigns, in parentheses, versus Rollins, because I have no idea what you actually call it.
Yeah, so that I kind of feel the same way there, except for there was no Money in the Bank. It was just like, Hogan was coming out. Like, if Hogan's
Money in the Bank was his notoriety.
Exactly. And I just look at that situation, too. It's like, it would have been, like, this would not be something to talk about. Even though WrestleMania is possibly the worst WrestleMania ever.
Oh, it's definitely up there.
Besides, like, the location and venues perspectives. I really like the outdoor themed, the whole Coliseum thing. I thought that was really cool. It's actually my favorite 1 through 10, the best looking WrestleMania. But regardless, all the matches were the shiz hits.
You can just say the shits.
Yeah.
You don't even need to sugarcoat that.
But overall, it's just like, if Hogan came out at that point in time, raised Bret's hand, and then like had a real strong snug and just looked at him.
Like, this is going to be the next feud.
See ya. Boom. That WrestleMania, I would have been like, that's cool. Okay. Bravo. But then when you see that, you're just like,
how?
Why?
Or all 5.
Yeah,
all 5 questions.
Yeah.
What, who, when, why,
how.
Yeah.
She, he is. Like, it doesn't make it doesn't make any sense. Oh my God, like this beer, what the
French toast, look at you. Let's get the notes out of the way. You need a napkin? Do you have any?
I have paper towels. But so
while you do that, yeah, I'll plug. Let us know what you guys think is either the best main event, the worst main event, the most underrated, maybe you can even say most disappointing, which we're going to cover once Homeboy cleans. Uh-oh. We got spillage all over the place. Anyway, let us know your thoughts in regards to any of the main events, whether you loved them, you hated them, you think they're the most forgotten about, whatever. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at PML Show. I know I've been slacking on the social media participation in regards to questions. We apologize. I promise you, once travel basketball is out of the way, we are back full throttle. But again, like I said, if you guys just want to let us your input or output on any of that,
dude, this show is fun to do, and it's just
fun.
So, also, just let's talk about real life real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I've been buying beer at Beer Super forever.
Okay.
But sometimes I have to go down to Laughlin Beer because I run out of beer. It seems like every time I buy beer from down there, the beer explodes. So Laughlin Beer, you guys shaking up your cases before you put them on the shelf? Like, what are you doing?
What the hell are you guys doing?
Nothing good, because you're making a mess.
Oh, look at this beautiful bar, espresso bar.
Espresso
And
bar.
you're going to have beer stains all over it.
fudge!
Just like WrestleMania 9 having shit stains all over it.
Literally.
Unbelievable.
It is the shiz-its.
And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that's one of the worst WrestleManias ever because of the main event. I think we've discussed entirely, I know it was either with the Savage or the Bret Hart WrestleMania resume. I know for a fact I've discussed that a million times. That could have made the WrestleMania better. But outside of 9, because I feel like a lot of people are going to go, 2's awful, 9's awful, 11's awful, 27's awful. I feel like those are the 4 that you just realistically or universally always hear.
You know what else is pretty bad?
Give me another one.
WrestleMania 10.
Honestly,
Honestly, besides the ladder match for the Intercontinental title, that stole the show, in my opinion.
Brett and Owen, though.
But
Let's
Brett
pump the goddamn
so
brakes for a second.
There's 2 things. Brett and Owen, and then the ladder match. Everything else sucked. Because the Luger-Yokozuna match sucked. The Brett-Yokozuna match sucked. Just, I don't know if Yoko wasn't prepared. He was way out of shape.
Oh, obviously.
I don't think he was real, like...
Yoko was... So I think of it like this. Yoko was Andre. You don't put a title on him. Like, he's an attraction. He doesn't need a belt. Just like a good gimmick. If you have a good attraction or a good gimmick, you don't need the belt. I.e., Jake the Snake. I.e., Bray Wyatt. As much as I love Bray, when he had the title, even though it was only for a month, it made no sense. You know what I mean? So it's like if you have a good attraction or if you have a really good gimmick, you don't need the title. That's the reason why Undertaker didn't have the title for 6 years. He held it for 3 days in '91, and he looked weird carrying the belt. I mean, it was cool that he was dragging it on the ground like a zombie, but at the same time, it's just like, you don't need that. That gimmick's going to get over.
Yeah, and then afterwards, when he actually became world champion, I thought it meant something when he won against Sid. Because it was a cross comparison of a zombie and, I guess you would say, Mark Callis, the person.
Yeah. But it's also like, it was 6 years, it was more of him like deserving it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where in '91, it was like the gimmick. It's the gimmick. He doesn't need it. All that to say, I'm glad you brought up 9 and 10 because this is where I was going to go with the Austin Rock. You could schedule this 35 times, it would work. I know that was a rematch. I don't think there's another WrestleMania main event rematch outside of that one, and then Rock and Cena, I believe, at 28-29. Like rematch back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Do you like those? Like, I feel like it's very hard to do, especially when there's no gimmick change. Like, I don't mind the Rock Austin one, like, alternating years, 15, 17, 19. I don't even mind the Lesnar 31, 34, and now 38, because those ones, there's some time in between to where you could build the storyline.
So
there
much
might be
different.
there's a characters changing in there, dynamics are changing, so there's a way to build that, where it's like, to me, back-to-back, it's like Yoko and Brett's like, I've already seen it. Rock and Cena, obviously, even with the title, it's like, I definitely already saw that. It was billed as once in a lifetime.
Yeah, no, it was twice in a lifetime. Then they even made fun of it themselves. They're like, it's not going to be 3 times in a lifetime. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. So, like, do you ever wish that there was a main event where there was a rematch, like, as a main event back-to-back? Like, you could have done Hogan Savage, maybe, or Hogan Warrior, Hogan Andre, even. I mean, that was obviously a tease at WrestleMania 4.
WrestleMania 4, for instance, when I went back and watched the WrestleManias, and I pretty much I would say I probably watched every one at this point.
Student of the game.
Over the years.
Student of the game.
And when I, like, going into WrestleMania 4, I was like, wait, they even wrestled again? Like, because I like, at times, I would say my history is not up to snuff, and there's a lot of content throughout the years to try to even get, like,
Can't knock somebody for not knowing everything.
Yeah.
With the amount of content that they have, so.
So I was like, wait, they wrestled again? And then, like, when you see that happen, it's just like, at WrestleMania 4, I was like, because I was hyped. I saw in the car, I'm like, oh, they're going to wrestle again. The title tournament, that's cool. And then, like, you see, because I was like, all I remember of WrestleMania 4 is Savage gets the belt. And it starts the feud for the next WrestleMania. It's kind of like a filler Mania, honestly, if you watch it. It's like a filler episode.
Dude, it's 4 hours and you don't...
Nothing happens besides Macho Man's outfit changes.
Yeah. 100%.
He probably paid more for outfits than he did get paid that night.
I can do another question with this. I'll have to piggyback
But
off
overall, watch, like, when you say, like, watching Andre again, I was like, no, I'm good. WrestleMania 3 was enough.
Yeah. But is there, okay, so obviously I gave you like a couple options just for you to like kind of brainstorm. But is there any other main event where you're like, okay, I wouldn't mind to see that the following year or the year before, like whatever.
Out of the main event possibly not really, but I would like to see the next year, like WrestleMania 20, for instance, Jericho versus Michaels again.
So at 19, it would have been 20.
And then maybe like for a title at that point, like the Intercontinental title or the World title. Okay. Because I just feel like that was like the match of the year. Or I wouldn't mind seeing Angle and Michaels again in WrestleMania 23. No, they wrestled 22, right? And then 23? Or 21 and then 22. So that would have been better, I think, than him versus Vince, because it was supposed to be Guerrero.
Oh, don't say it, dude.
So
it's so upsetting. So upsetting. I get so upset. I can just envision the match that they would have had. I don't get upset about wrestling too much. It's like it's usually about what ifs, and that's probably the biggest what if with me.
Dude, I just can't believe Eddie Guerrero's only 38.
I know. AJ's 41 right now.
It's crazy.
I know. So there's no main events that you would do a rematch. I was thinking about it. I think we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago. What was it? 2 weeks ago, WrestleMania 7?
Yeah.
I really think we should have done a Hogan Warrior rematch.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's the only time they really ever squared up in WWE was
the one time.
That was it. And then they had like their little thing in WCW, which was weird and awkward.
Yeah, stupid. I mean, you could even. It wouldn't be a back-to-back, but like Hogan and Savage, I would have loved. I would think I would have done that at like WrestleMania 8, and then like you could have done. I think the back-to-back, I think would have been Hogan Warrior for me, and then the other one. I don't know.
Would you say instead of a Fatal 4-Way, you do Rock and Triple H at a pay-per-view? I feel like that's the only feud that could still happen that should have already happened at a Mania.
Yeah, I mean, I always think Austin and Triple H could have had a match too.
Yeah.
You could have done 17 or 18, honestly. So that one's tough, and even 15 with Rock and Austin stuff, because Rock and Austin 15, the WrestleMania 15 match, the main event, was pretty good. I think their Backlash match the following month was better.
Yeah, I agree.
WrestleMania 16 with the Fatal 4-Way, even though Triple H and Rock had like 18, like they had like 15 minutes by themselves after everybody got eliminated, their Backlash match with Austin interfering and all that kind of stuff was actually better than that like 16-minute stretch.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird. It's like, would that match have actually happened at WrestleMania 20 or at WrestleMania 16? So it's like, it's weird, but I don't mind a Fatal 4-Way match if it's like done right in regards to the build. Like, I didn't get Foley being in there, honestly, which kind of sucked because I think he did deserve a main event. Obviously, at some point in his career, he almost died. Yeah. But I just don't. It's almost like when they do like the ladder matches for the IC title. It's like
I would rather saw Foley versus Triple H at Mania.
Oh, 100%.
Especially in a Hell in a Cell, like imagine that that's your final match.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that.
That's a Super Bowl. That's like a Super Bowl payoff. Even Triple H still wins, has the same all situations like that.
Foley walks around, the crowd cheers, Foley leaves. Yeah, I completely agree. The thing, what was I gonna say? Shit, I completely lost it. Oh well, I forget. It'll come back to me at some point. I don't know why I went back to this. I forget what you said. I don't know if you even said one. The most disappointing. For me, the most disappointing was WrestleMania 25, Triple H versus Orton. Part of it's that stupid-ass stipulation where if Triple H got disqualified, he would lose the title. But I really just think the wrong person won. I thought Orton was on a roll with like that CTE-ish or like
kicking people in the head.
Yeah, literally just losing, like hearing the voices in his head and stuff like that. I think that was like the coolest like version of him as a heel in that era, and this is the wrong person.
Speaking of heels, did you see that they're making a documentary?
Evil?
It's called Evil.
Yeah, on
I can't wait to see
A&E.
it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Hopefully, I mean, some of the people they chose is weird. I forget who they have, but
They have Piper. They have Flair. They have
Flair.
Orton.
I know
They have Roman. They have
Steph.
Stephanie. And they have Hogan.
Yeah, maybe it's the Hogan one. Because I mean, yeah, he's a heel, but like, he's only so notorious as a heel because he's such a good baby face. But
You have John Cena narrating, who's never really a heel.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's do this real quick. I'm gonna give you like a category. I'm gonna try to go by eras here, and you can give me like your best main event, one or two.
Yeah.
So let's go with the Hogan years, or like the golden years, as they say. WrestleMania 1, 2, we'll say WrestleMania 8. So in between those WrestleManias, what do you think is the best main event?
Macho Man versus Hogan.
Okay, it's at 5. I agree with that. Now, would Flair and Savage be your number one if that was a main event? I just want to throw that out. I want to give you a little disclaimer.
It would. But honestly, too, the main event at WrestleMania 1, because there was so much hype around it.
I think that could be
big tag match. That was so big.
It could be the most important. You could argue that's the most important
it's probably
of all time.
It's probably the most important match of all time. And
It's either that or Andre.
However, yes. However, I would have, to rebook that, just to kind of put like I guess you would say a button on the golden era of wrestling, if it was Piper versus Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
And then they just had, you have your posse, I have my posse who's going to be there. I'm going to have Mr. T, I'm going to have Cyndi Lauper, I'm going to have these celebrities, because Hogan was a celebrity.
Of course.
And then you got Piper, who's
The brawler.
You know, the brawler. I'm a wrestler. You're
Orton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
get
you
it.
have like that old school crew with
Could even throw Greg Valentine in there. He was the
Yeah.
IC champion at that time, but he was
and then they come in, they all have spots, and Mr. T can, beat up everyone real quick with Hogan. Like
You could even be the distraction for Piper for him to lose, even though Piper never wanted to lose. But it's like there's a way for you to do it. You know what I mean? Somehow, like here's the money. Here's the money we're about to get.
Beats him up. He's in the corner. He's in the corner selling. Hogan shoots him off. Boot. Punch. Leg drop. Show's over.
Just hire us already, WWE.
Seriously.
So, yeah, I'll go Savage, Hogan, and then I always say like short number 2 because 5 and 6 for me are so compatible.
However, with Hogan and Savage, that was the best build-up, I think, to a WrestleMania match at that point in that era.
Yeah, well, I always say I think the most important ever is Hogan Andre. So this is all in the Hogan era, by the way. So I think Hogan Andre is the most important. I think Savage Hogan is the best build-up to a true main event storyline. Like you're doing a whole year's worth, and it's a love triangle, which everybody can kind of relate to. And then I think the biggest like WrestleMania, so it's important. Like I don't know. I think to me it's like Warrior Savage or Warrior Hogan, title for title in a dome, all that kind of stuff. Let's start off with like the Federation, the new generation. We'll go WrestleMania 9 to, 14 starts the Attitude Era, but we'll actually include 14 because that would be the ending of WrestleMania 14. So from 9 to 14, best main event.
Even though
This is kind of tough, huh?
it's boring to watch,
Okay.
but it really shows a lot of significance. And actually, if you sit there and maybe watching like 2 parts, like I just did that recently, it's Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in the Iron Man match.
I agree. Now here's my next question for this era. If Bret and Austin at 13 is the main event, does that take the number 1 spot, or are you still going Bret Shawn?
No, I'm going to pick Bret and Austin because I watched WrestleMania 13 literally like 10 years ago when the network first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is a good match. Then I listened to Edge and Christian's podcast with Bret Hart and Steve Austin.
Oh, yeah.
They narrate the match. And I was like 25, and I went back and watched the match again. And then from like kind of being that wrestler like mindset, like to watch it for that, and like you kind of know the moves a little bit more. You
were in the indie scene too, so you were like studying.
So I watched that, and I was just like, this is probably one of the best matches of all time, storytelling-wise, and also with a technical wrestling standpoint, because it's not a bunch of high spots, it's not a bunch of flips, it's just 2 dudes who don't like each other, and they're beating the shit out of each other.
Yep, I completely agree. I think I would put that number 1 if that was the main event, but I will also go Bret and Shawn. So, I think also, as another caveat, would be if Shawn Michaels' back wasn't hurting, Shawn Michaels and Austin would have had a really good match, I think, too.
Yeah, and that's why I truly believe Shawn had some back issues because I think he really likes Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And he knew he could perform with them well because Steve Austin didn't really have from what you hear, he didn't really have a
click,
and he didn't really have an ego.
Yeah.
Until
you won the title.
Until
you realize the money he can make, and he's like, "Oh wait, I got to hold these people down."
Hold on.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the Attitude Era. We'll go 15 to, I think Ruthless Aggression kind of starts.
I think 19's the first one for that.
Okay, so we'll go 15 to 18 then.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a smaller range here, but obviously 15 starts with Rock Austin, 18 or the end of 18 is Jericho Triple H. So there's really only a couple. I mean, we already kind of talked about Rock and Austin, right, at 17.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. I would say a secondary one.
Rock and Austin.
Yeah, Rock and Austin, right? Because 16 sucked, 18's main event. Unfortunately, I think if Jericho and Triple H were in a different universe and Hogan and Rock did not
That's what I was going to ask you.
agree on that card, that it would have...
If Rock and Hogan is the main event, do you put that above Rock and Austin at all? Or maybe one of the two?
Honestly, I put it above all of them because I think it's the most important wrestling. It's the most important WrestleMania match up until that moment.
I think you're absolutely batshit crazy. I think 17 is still better.
What do you mean? You got the greatest of all time versus the greatest of all time?
It's not billed as that, though. It's just billed as, NWO Hogan versus Rock. It's not billed as, Hulkamania.
Yeah, but when you watch it, though, for what it really is Hulkamania versus the People's Champion.
Yeah.
It's the People's Champion from two different eras.
I'll go 17, and then I would do Rock Hogan as my number 2. I mean, I don't think 15 Rock and Austin is definitely not compatible at all. All right, so that's going to get us...
No, I think Rock and Austin had better Raw matches.
Word. So we'll go with 2003, the Ruthless Aggression era. We'll go 19 to... When's the PG era kind of start? 08? So we'll go to WrestleMania 25. So 19 to 25. Starts off with Angle and Lesnar at 19. We'll end it with the Mania 25 match of... Actually, why don't we go to 26? I know that's a little bit in the PG era, but I feel like that's kind of the end of an era with Taker and HBK.
Yeah.
So we'll go Angle versus Lesnar, that range to Taker to HBK at 26. What's your favorite one?
I'm gonna say the last Taker versus HBK match.
26.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough, man. I'm really liking the... I think I have to rewatch that 26 match. I don't know what it is. I just think that's another one. The year before, it's what's so different about it? I know it's somebody's gonna either have a streak end or retire, but other than that, match wise, I'm gonna see the same thing. I'm gonna go Edge versus Taker.
That was a really good match too. I would agree that's a really good match.
I will make a caveat though.
Can I make a caveat before that?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna say Shawn Michaels versus John Cena.
Okay. I was going to say, if Batista and Taker was the actual main event of WrestleMania 23, I would go that one because it was an actual Royal Rumble winner, and then the first time I actually thought the streak was going to lose. So
so did I, man. That could have been really
cool.
He would have been a good person because Batista,
he put his time in.
He put his time in, and I feel like Batista, he got the accolades, but he doesn't have, that one accolade. He's got all the world champion. Yeah.
To me, it's just again, Orton's about to make another milestone of being the only person to walk into Mania with all these championships.
Every title.
And it's if you list your top 10 or your favorite matches, you'll be oh shit, I forgot about Orton.
Look at everything
I respect Orton so much, but I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about him here. It's crazy.
Well, Orton main evented a few WrestleManias, and I just feel
30, I think,
dancing
was
partners
his best.
or stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best for him going into the next one. And the next one you'd say is 27 till now?
27. I would probably say, honestly, to 30. Maybe we could just split it up. We'll just say 27 to 32.
Okay, so I'm gonna say the triple threat match.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Caveat, though. Always got to put that in. What if... I'll give you 2. Because at this is... I'm actually glad we're doing this, because this was my question. I forgot to write it down. The streak to me in this era is bigger than the titles.
I agree.
So, At 27, you could have did Triple H versus Taker. At 28, you could have did Triple H versus Taker. 29, you could have did CM Punk versus Taker. At 30, you could have did Lesnar versus Taker. All 4 of those, I think, are bigger than the actual title matches. Do you think any of those Taker matches are better than we both agree on the Triple Threat, right?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think any Taker matches are better than the Triple Threat match at 30?
I would say the Triple H Taker match in Hell in a Cell.
The end of an era?
Yeah.
Would you... Oh, so I'm assuming that would be the caveat.
Also too, just for our friend's sake, I would love if Taker and Lesnar was the last match, and to see the actual reaction on Pricey's face.
No, dude, Pricey would have lost it, bro. He lost it, but he would have really, really lost it. If that was the last time he was at 30, dude, that was the end of 30, he probably would have never watched wrestling again.
I would have loved the reaction on our podcast.
There you go. If we didn't watch one, dude.
For what it's worth.
100%.
Like, to go back and just, like, have that conversation and just be like, all right, dude, it's over. I'd be like, listen, buddy, we're going to go to Eddie's. I'll hang out with you today. Yeah. And let's go drink some beer.
Yeah,
let's go watch, like, because, like,
honestly, let's watch every streak win. Let's watch the streak win.
When that happened, like, you get, man, I know that stomach you punch in the gut. And you're like,
yeah,
out of breath. I was like, holy shit.
Dude,
and
it was crazy.
You're like, holy shit. And Flo's like, oh, wow, holy shit. And then Pricey's in the corner, like,
just ready to cry, staring at the TV, like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, it was crazy.
It personally, like, in the back of my head, I'll never forget that moment, because, like, the pure what the F moment. Like, there's questionable shit that's happened throughout my whole entire life with all you guys in different scenarios, situations. We're all just like, dude, what?
Yeah, it was
and
crazy.
Like, for him, he's just like, my man's just in the corner, like.
It was upsetting. And then obviously we felt for him.
But imagine that as like, but that's how Vince McMahon is. Like, that's the gimmick. That's the life. And it's like, you want to pull that because you want to sell tickets for Monday.
Yeah.
You want people to watch Raw on Monday. You want everyone to go to work the next to be like,
yeah,
I can't do this.
No, you're right.
Undertaker lost. So, like, imagine if that was the main event of that WrestleMania. Because what was even the main event of WrestleMania 29?
Well, that was 30.
That was 30. So you got.
That's why I think Triple Threat is so underrated, because the crowd's so dead for the first half.
Because that one dude in the front row literally had a heart attack.
I know. It was insane. See, I always think of like 28 to 30. You could have taken your pick, because I think the Lesnar one's the most believable person to beat the streak. Obviously, that's what happened.
And that's why I'm so proud Lesnar's doing what he's doing now, because he did not do Taker a disservice.
Yeah, I was going to say, at first you think he would, because he was
scumbag.
Yeah, now I agree with you. He's put in the time.
Because he even went back and had a UFC fight.
I know. He did put in the time.
And won.
He did. He put in the time. 29, I always felt like CM Punk could have been the up-and-comer to beat the streak, because it was right after the Paul Bear death, too. So I feel like that could have been the ending of WrestleMania 29.
He would have, I think, been the best person, besides, like, looking...
It just made the most sense, right?
Retrospectively, yeah.
And then 28... Oh, yeah, I mean, definitely Bray for me at 31. But 28 even, too, like you said, the end of an era, and that's probably the best Taker match, like, I guess with the gimmick involved. But let's close it out here. We got 33 to 37. Obviously, 36, you could do either one. Night 1 was the Boneyard match. Night 2 was Lesnar versus McIntyre. 37, night 1 was Sasha and Bianca. And then night 2 was Reigns, Bryan, Edge. And then obviously 33 was Reigns, Taker. 34, Reigns, Lesnar. 35, Triple Threat, Rousey, Charlotte, Becky. What's your favorite there?
I'm going to say Rousey, Charlotte, Becky.
I'm going to go Sasha, Bianca.
I like that. I like that choice.
I like that one a lot. I will do a caveat. Even that's another caveat, I guess. Did we do 32 or 31 on the last one? I do think the Charlotte, Becky, Sasha was a really good match at 32 if that was the main event, but it wasn't, obviously. But yeah, I'm going to go Sasha, Bianca for this one. I thought that was a really good match. A lot of time. It was an actual one-on-one match, which was cool. The Reigns, Bryan, Edge one was good too.
And that was the first WrestleMania back to a crowd, right?
Yeah, true. So, we'll end this resume right now. WrestleMania 38. Right now, it's looking like Charlotte, Flair, and Rousey will be the last match. Caveat: we don't know what the Kevin Owens Austin is going to be. A segment, a match, non-sanctioned. I have no idea.
And we'll talk about this 10 years from now. We're reviewing the card, so
of course.
We'll see.
So right now, if we're actually going by matches, Rousey versus Flair, night 1, night 2, Reigns versus Lesnar. Which one do you think you're more excited for? Is that rhetorical? Or?
I'm picking Brock and Roman. This
Okay.
is the most excited I've ever been for a world title match because I don't know if you listen to a lot of past shows, but I've literally been saying them for unifying the title forever.
You have been. You've been proponent. And I will say, giving you more flowers, you've been proponent for multiple night WrestleManias. I was not a fan until, obviously, they started going to 13-hour shows.
Listen,
I was like,
man,
yeah, you're right.
Like, I don't want to fall asleep during those wrestling pay-per-views are just so long sometimes.
Just imagine being there.
I wouldn't want like WrestleMania 29, like when Price went. That's a long ass.
It was
night.
raining.
It was raining.
But
it was
dude, that's not
cold.
even the worst though. 33 and 34 were awful. 35 was awful. Like
I
Becky
just think of
said.
the ones that I could have went to.
Oh, I got you.
So
35.
Right. And then 15's in Philly, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm picking any WrestleMania that I could have gone to where I was actually alive, I'm picking 15.
I agree.
Because it's 2.5 hours.
Indoors.
Indoors.
Yeah.
In arena in Philadelphia, and I could be home. Literally, the show starts at 7.
You'll be home by 1.
I'll be home by 1. That's cool. WrestleMania, I would have been home at...
Dude, 35, you would have been home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's insane.
29, I don't think it was yet that long. I think it was still 4 hours. You obviously want to get there a little earlier, but it would have been over at like 11:30. It was still pay-per-view, so it was over at like 11:30. But, bro, like the Network 35, the pre-show started at 5, and then it was obviously over at midnight.
And where was that pay-per-view at?
New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. That one
29 was in Jersey, and so was 35.
Because that's probably why I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, like, I just think of that stuff, and I'm just like, okay, so I'm going to have to buy a WrestleMania ticket. That's a couple $100.
Stay awake for 24 hours.
You stay awake for literally 24 hours, and it's like, you know, you have to buy a hotel for like that overnight, like because you're not going to go home. Like you can't drive home after that.
No, not if you're pre-gaming.
No, pre-game.
I know
you go to the show, and then you want to go to an after party.
I mean, technically, you could sleep during the dart match. Dude.
Yeah,
the dart match, shooting darts, sleeping. Yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm glad they did do the 2-nighters. So you've been a proponent of both,
our goal
man.
still, at the end of this, though, is we have to get to a WrestleMania.
Of our show or just in our lives?
In our lives, we have to get to one.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Well, hey, 39's in Cali, baby.
Dude, I'll go to California. I'm not afraid to fly anywhere now. I'm in.
I'm still petrified, actually, but I'll do it. I'll do it, man.
Hey, listen, you got less of a chance to get hit by a nuke from Russia there than you do here. So
You're right. You're right.
maybe not. I really don't know.
Yes,
honestly.
Probability of 38 being the worst WrestleMania ever compared to the other ones. If we're talking probabilities, I'll take the probability of 38 being delivering. I think.
I really think it's going to, especially 2 nights. Fans are back. Like last year, the fans were back, but it was just like awkward.
Yeah, it was so weird to get back to used to it.
People, because it's like there's still people dying of a disease. Like,
oh, you're right. But
so
now it's like
awkward.
people kind of get back into it.
So that one cut out before the end of this. It's like the 2K video game. They have this. They have the what was it called? Where all the faces were on the walls.
Thunderdome.
They have the Thunderdome in the game. That's stupid.
That's cool. What are you talking about? How's that stupid? That's cool.
I guess it's like a sign of the times. If I keep the game 10 years from now,
Yeah.
like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah, have that No Mercy, bruh.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, you can get a stares right from the crowd, that flat ass crowd in No Mercy, but we do have to get together and play 2K also.
We do.
Well, I got to find time, actually. I mean, these next 4 weeks, dude. I mean, it's actually, I have to see my schedule for next week, and I'm actually kind of scared. Hope I don't have to stay over anywhere.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for them hotels.
I don't mind about that. I get reimbursed that, but I won't be able to hang out at any one of the nights. Yeah, I mean, reimbursed at the end. So, I mean, I just have to put up money up front. Yeah.
But,
I just got to make sure, like, hopefully,
Friday,
I say,
Saturday,
I got to figure it out. So, we'll figure that out next week, obviously. But hope you guys enjoyed the show. I mean, I know we kind of just bitched about a lot of main events, but we did say our best ones, right? Hogan Warrior for me.
We talked the good stuff. We talked pro wrestling, man. And
we talked the good talk.
Some of it's not good.
Oh, well,
there's been a lot of bad wrestling throughout the years.
What you're talking about, WrestleMania 2, 11, 27. I mean, technically, WrestleMania 1 is god-awful. But what you're talking about, those...
For all intents and purposes, you go back and watch it. It's terrible.
Yeah, go on the Peacock and watch all those. And let us know your favorites. Just main events. Next week, I think we're going to do that. We're going to do the combo. Because I'm a fat man that loves food, and I'm all about combos. So we'll talk about the best championship combo matches. Bro. So yeah, good documentary. But hope you guys enjoyed the show. We are the PML Crew. Rich Lopez, Tom Malloy, Robert Price, always with us. It was cool talking about the Price memories, too. It's been a couple years, obviously, around that anniversary,
5,
too.
bro.
Yeah, 5. So it's cool talking about that Taker stuff. Hopefully, with that being said, Taker does come and show appearance at 38. But yeah, let us know, like we talked about on social media, let us know your favorite main events, what you think are the worst, which ones you would have rebooked or reshuffled. We didn't even do that. Well, you put us at Hogan and Rock, right, at 18?
Yeah.
Which one would I have done? I don't know.
Would you put Razor and Shawn at the main event of WrestleMania 10?
No, but I would because I was never a fan of Yoko being in the world title picture, but obviously, logistically, you just don't put the title, not main event, at I'm still proponent of that, honestly. I'm still proponent of that, honestly. I just don't know what I would have done. Maybe Sasha, Charlotte, Becky at 32.
Would you say maybe at WrestleMania 10, just like kind of like rebook it real quick before we cut it off for night? Lex wins it.
You always wanted Lex to win.
And then Brett beats him that night.
Oh, that would have been cool. I thought that was actually supposed to be the goal. I don't know what happened.
Because I feel like Yokozuna was so like dead by the time he kind of
damn,
Brett.
dude.
Like, it just, like, if you watch WrestleMania 9, their
so
match
morbid.
actually isn't that bad. But when you watch WrestleMania 10, you're just like, my God,
But
dude.
you're also seeing them twice.
Yeah.
And you already saw the rematch the year before. So it's like, you're here with the double whammy. You already saw
Brett wrestled
once.
twice that night, too, and he looks great.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, the mystique, though. Like,
Yeah.
the mystique of Yoko's gone. You already saw Brett once. Like, I don't know. That's why it's like, oh, well, what is Brett going to... We already saw every move. He just did every move with Owen.
Yeah.
Like, what is he not going to do now with Yoko? You know what I mean?
Well, Yoko's just going to trip off the top rope and he's going to get a pin.
Yeah. Also, the shittiest ending to a match. A move that is his finisher, and he's done it a million times. He somehow slips on that one.
Yeah.
Dude, we've been shit on WCW. We're shit on WrestleMania 10. We got to end the show.
Yeah, it's over.
We got to end the show.
We'll see you next week. Listen to our show. It's awesome.
Every Friday.
Some wrestling is the shits. That's life.
But even the shittier ones, we try to make fun.
Yes.
And then obviously the good ones we compliment and try to still make it fun. But anyway, yeah, definitely listen to us every Friday on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts on the audio platforms. Next week, pretty much all WrestleMania again. Obviously, we're going to preview WrestleMania 38, so stay tuned with that. We have the PML Crew, Rich Lopez, Homeboy Malloy, Top Shelf Price. Enjoy your weekend. Keep the madness for March crazy with the brackets. Hopefully you guys aren't losing money.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully you guys aren't losing money. And as always, be safe and peace.